hope you can all hear me this time around, but I think that should all be fine. So my name is Sander Bangma, and I work for Moodle. And Moodle is a learning management platform, as hopefully most of you know. And I'm here to talk a little bit about the LMS itself, the products that we have around it, as well as the exciting new things that are coming in Moodle 4, where we're going to see some really big changes. Let me make sure. There we go. Just in terms of thinking about the size of the Moodle project, it is really encompassing the world. Really, we have over 180,000 sites out there that are individual installs of the Moodle LMS open source platform. We have over 300 million users on there. One particular stat that I always quite like, we have a quiz module, obviously used in classes to do quizzes and quiz questions, and we have, well, over 5.7 billion quiz questions worldwide that have been made with that quiz module. So that is just really phenomenal statistics. This makes it a really exciting project that we're all working on, and it's Moodle the company, but it's very much an open source project. So Moodle the community, which is very, very active and contributing. I thought this was really nice because we also, of course, have some statistics by country, and Germany is third in the list. So we have over 10,000 Moodle sites up and running in Germany that we know of. Not everybody registers their site with us because it's optional, but over 10,000 sites have been registered with us. So yeah, clearly Germany loves Moodle. So it's great to be here and connect with the open source community. When we then look broader worldwide, and in particular in higher education, Moodle is used worldwide, as you can see, every continent, and in particular places like Africa, South America, Asia, well, really Europe, very strong as well. On the whole, Moodle is in 67% of higher education around the world. North America, you can see there's some other players there, some new players coming up, but yeah, Moodle is still very much the predominant player out there. From an open source perspective, there's a number of really amazing things happening. Of course, the core platform itself has evolved over many years now with contributions from the community, and they keep going. They're still a very active developer community. We have some chat groups as well, where we have over 1,000 Moodle developers who are all helping each other develop for Moodle. And one of the things where some of that work comes together next to the contributions in the core platform is in the plugin database that you can see here. So we have a database where community developers can submit the plugin that they've made if they want to share it with the community, and we then expose that to the world. So every Moodle site in the world can access these plugins, download them, and install them on their Moodle site. So as you can see here, we've got some stats, but we have over 1,900 plugins in the plugin database, offering different types of functionality, different types of customizations, connecting to other platforms, different themes that you can install. Yeah, you can also see here there's over 1,000 developers who have contributed over the years to this amazing collection of plugins in the plugin database. So this is really illustrating the power of open source, and it's still very much what is driving Moodle to this day. When we think about Moodle, what is Moodle? It's a learning management platform, so it's a place where you can build courses, and of course students can take these courses then online. But it's more than just a place where you build courses in a particular way. It is actually a very powerful toolbox that you can customize to your own needs to really help you teach in the way that you want to teach. So you can build your own educational platform on the basis of Moodle, and the plugins that we just saw are all tools that can help you configure Moodle in different ways. But Moodle itself, the core platform, already has a very rich amount of functionality in there. Moodle is used in really all different sectors. So we can look, at schools, kindergarten to year 12, higher education, but also it's used in businesses for some of their professional development, onboarding courses, regular training, compliance training, and things like that. Over the years, there's an ecosystem of different products that has been developed around the core LMS platform, and they all hook into the LMS in a variety of ways. And I'll go through most of them here in this chat very briefly. Moodle LMS itself, then, as mentioned, it's a flexible software platform. It's very powerful. You can create courses for online learning and importantly for collaboration. There's the pedagogical thought process behind Moodle is that these online courses should not just be a place where you put some presentations, some links to videos and some PDFs. It's really around encouraging collaboration amongst the students with different types of activities that they can do, whether it's contributing to forums or whether it's contributing to glossaries or contributing to, we've got a database activity where students can upload content, our workshop module where students can get involved with grading each other. It's very much around learning through collaborating with others. Very, very nice as well is that we have actually recently been accredited to meet the most important standards for web accessibility, WCAG 2.1 AA, which is one of the few LMSs out there actually in the world who meet that accessibility standard. We have also spent a phenomenal amount of effort making sure that we implement functionality that allows our customers to be compliant with privacy legislation, such as GDPR, very, very important as well. So there's, it really is a very rich platform, and it's trying to cater for all those important things in that we want to protect the privacy of people, and we want to make sure that education is inclusive so that everybody can access the platform, very core values to everything we do. And the nice thing, of course, about it being open source, and this sort of goes back to the privacy aspect as well, is that you can download the platform, you can run it on your own servers, you control all the data, and you don't need to give it to us. So this is some of the amazing things behind the platform. Just quickly, some of the other things. So we also have a solution for more the corporate environment. It's called Moodle Workplace, and it has some tailored functionality around organizational learning and development. You can think of things like additional functionality to allow you to create a little bit of like hierarchy structures that represent the management structure in your organization, and managers can then see the people that report into them and can understand where their training is at, and if it's compliance, then they can see whether people have completed all the requirements that they need to do on a regular basis. But it's got some other really nice things as well, additional automations that can be built in. You can create multiple learning platforms, as it's called there. It supports multi-tenancy, so you can actually run multiple Moodle sites on a single server. It integrates with other systems, just like Moodle LMS does, of course. And some of the functionalities that we've built specifically for Moodle Workplace are also ending up in Moodle LMS. So Moodle Workplace is more of a solution that is tailored to corporations, and you can access Moodle Workplace through some of our Moodle partners, our premium partners. Moodle Workplace then in itself is not a solution you can just download. You do need to work with one of our partners. But over time, some of the functionalities we've built in Moodle Workplace actually end up in Moodle LMS, the core LMS platform. So it's also improving the open source product. And a really great example I will show a little bit later in this presentation. Then next to the core platform and Moodle Workplace, we also have an app for your mobile phone or your mobile devices. The really nice thing about the app is that you can actually also download the course content onto your mobile device, which means, for example, that people who live in remote areas and maybe you need to travel to the city to get internet access, once they're there, they can download the course and go back home and actually do all of their learning on their device. And the next time they go into the city, it will actually sync back up. So it's really all about also delivering education in remote areas. You can get it on the app stores. There's a free version of it with a range of functionalities, and then there's different types of plans for people who want a little bit more functionality. And the app, I should say, also recently got certified as meeting the accessibility standards as the same as the LMS platform, so meeting WCAG 2.1 AA. So again, we're really focusing on making sure that everybody can use our products. Then a Moodle in the cloud, we also offer a hosted solution for people who not necessarily are able to run their own sites. The nice thing about that is you get the Moodle LMS ready to go. You can set your site up in a few minutes. There's plans for up to 1,000 users. If you want bigger sites, then you know the aim is to work together with one of our Moodle partner companies. But anybody can quickly run up a Moodle cloud site. And yeah, we're bringing constant improvements to that in terms of the infrastructure and well as performance that sits behind it. But it's offering the latest version of the LMS at any point in time. Then MoodleNet. MoodleNet is an initiative that started a couple of years ago, and I don't know if you've been in the Moodle ecosystem, you might have heard about it a little bit, and it's recently sort of been relaunched, and it's going to be, well, it is a space where educators can join online in a more of a social environment where they can actually share some of the resources that they're using in their classes. So the idea behind MoodleNet is that we build a collection of resources for educators to use and tap into to help them improve their education and the quality of education. So teachers can go on there and they say, hey, I've used this amazing resource. Of course, we need to look at what licenses are there. So this is primarily targeted to open educational resources, OER. But you can share that on the platform. We can create collections. Over time, we'll build an additional functionality to allow people, for example, to apply ratings so that you know, oh, this is a really great collection of resources for a particular topic. And the nice thing about it is that you can then import it into your Moodle course. So this allows you to browse a collection of other amazing things that other educators have been using around the world, and then use that in your course as well. So it's really geared towards being able to share knowledge and increase the quality of education worldwide. And then Moodle Academy. So we've always been, I guess, educating people in how to use Moodle, but Moodle Academy is formalizing this even further. There's a number of nice things around Moodle Academy. First and foremost, it's an exemplar site of how you can configure Moodle. But then really what it's all about is around learning how to use the Moodle platform, getting great tips and tricks from other educators or from administrators and designers and developers. So we're building courses on there to teach people what is the best practice in terms of online education. There's certification courses around there as well, quite an extensive curriculum that has been developed, the Moodle Educator certificates that you can take part in, and you really can upskill in how to design these online courses according to best practice. We've also thought about the open source community in there, so we're also making courses for Moodle developers so that we are educating them in how to contribute back to the project or how to customize their own site, just whatever they want to do. So that's a little bit about the Moodle ecosystem. Yeah, if you've got any questions, feel free to put it in the chat here, and I'll try and keep an eye on it as we go. We have also been working very hard behind the scenes on the next release of Moodle, which is going to be Moodle 4.0. Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about that now and show you some of the work that we've done and the thinking behind it, which is really quite exciting, and it's going to make a big difference, I think, for everybody out there. So just in terms of, I guess, our product roadmap, we are on our way to Moodle 4.0. We released Moodle 3.11 back in May of this year. There's a number of improvements in there in terms of new features. We made it easier for students to understand what they needed to do to complete a particular activity in a course. We again focused on accessibility and had a number of nice improvements in there. One in terms of the platform itself, but also we introduced a tool to check the content that you've created in Moodle for common accessibility concerns. So now we're also helping educators and course designers to make sure that the content they're creating in Moodle is accessible. And there's numbers of other improvements in there as well. But we've been working on Moodle 4 for nearly 18 months now, and the focus on Moodle 4 is really all around improving the user experience. So Moodle has evolved over many years. The platform has been around for nearly 20 years now, and over time it's been built upon and built upon and built upon. And some of the feedback we received was that sometimes it's not that easy to use. So we set off on a big project to actually look at that holistically and think about how can we make Moodle easier to use for everybody. So that's been our focus for a big period of time. And I'll sort of explain a little bit more about the research that went into that. Then the Moodle 4 release is due early next year to come out. And for the following releases after that, we'll actually continue to focus on improving the user experience around more the building blocks of the courses, the course activities and other key pages that you use to build the courses. But we've now focused initially more on the overall framework of the system, looking at navigation and the overall course experience and some of the more high-level user journeys for people. So what were our main objectives for Moodle 4? Making sure that we put the end user at the center of every decision that we make, and doing a lot of research to understand what are the key pain points that our users are experiencing, and then really trying to optimize that user journey and remove those pain points. And then on top of that, we also worked on creating a new design language, new visual styling to give Moodle a new look and a new feel. So altogether, it's quite a big refresh of the platform. In terms of that user research, how did we go about it? Well, yeah, it's really connecting with the community and our end user base. Of course, we've got forums where we can learn a lot and interact with people, but we did a lot of surveys as well, and many workshops together with people who are using the product. And are the people who participated in those workshops range from administrators to teachers to students to really get a good cross section of our user base. And some of the key findings that came out of that research were that people have difficulty finding where they need to go quickly. It took them a little while to get where they needed to be, and that the interface was sometimes confusing and presenting too many options. And that makes it more difficult to complete very common tasks. So a lot of detail was dug up through all of that research and in those key findings, and then we sort of had to look at the key themes within it to understand where we were going to focus our efforts initially. And we really wanted to focus on the two key end users, the teacher user journey and the student user journey. And both of them indicated that navigation and speed or between courses and activities wasn't always as easy as it could be. From a teacher perspective, they would love to be able to create and manipulate content more easily. And also, we got quite a lot of feedback, for example, on how to use grading in Moodle and how to set up particular activities. It was not an easy thing for them to do. So those are some of the things we're focusing on from a teacher perspective. And from a student perspective, of course, the navigation that I mentioned, but also for students, the key thing that they want to know is what do I need to do next to make sure I meet all the requirements for my course. So that's something that we already focused on a little bit in Moodle 3.11, helping them understand what they need to do to complete an activity. But it's an area of focus that we'll continue to work on. Then at a high level, really summing it up, there were a number of sort of key theme areas for our teacher and student personas. A lot of the feedback was around how to navigate. So we're improving that. There's quite a bit of feedback on the experience when you're in a course. So whether it's for a teacher when you're actually building the course, or for a student when you're taking the course, to improve that side of things. Then there's a little bit of work we are doing on Moodle. There's a dashboard page to help people understand what they need to do next. So touching on that point from a student perspective. But there's actually quite a lot more work that we want to do beyond this. More work on the dashboard, making it easier to manage tasks for people is something that we're looking into. But also, as I mentioned before, looking at the sort of the core building blocks of courses, for example, Moodle's assignment activity, and improving that. But there's a whole range of activities in Moodle that we'll be looking at. And then also other key pages, and an example of that is Moodle's gradebook, which is a very powerful gradebook. You can do pretty much anything with it, but it's over time has become such a layered approach that you need to actually know the platform before it's easy to use. And what we want to do is really make sure that for people who are new to Moodle, that Moodle is easy to use. But for those people who really want the expert features, that they can still find those expert features, but that they're not in your face for the new users. So we don't want to take away anything from the power of the platform, but we just want to make it easier for new people to enter into the platform and start using it. Around navigation, what do we set out to do? It's really all of the navigation around Moodle at a site level, the entire Moodle site, but also within a Moodle course, and then also within the actual activity modules when you're going to do the actual work. One of the things we're doing is really simplifying things, making it easier for people to understand where they are, reducing cognitive load, so not showing too much to people at any one time, really only showing things that are relevant to the context where you are, so you're not distracting people, trying to use common patterns, and providing a single pathway to a particular destination to get there. And lastly, also very importantly, you can use Moodle on desktop, of course, but also on mobile devices, and creating consistency in that user experience. Then from a course experience, there's a number of new things that we're doing there. We're introducing a new component there to quickly navigate when you're inside a course. It's called the course index. I've got some examples of that later. Making it easier to drag and drop content in the course when you're working on it. So for teachers, giving the course page a new structure, making it easier for students to see what's happening. Collapsible sections, when there's something you don't want to look at, you can easily hide it. Creating nice activity cards that for a particular activity sort of summarize what is happening there. Nice new icons, and a blocks area where you can show additional information if you want to, but you can also hide it in case you don't want to look at it. So I've got some slides now showing some of the previews. Most of this is still from our UX prototypes, but we're now all in the final stages of building this and putting this together. And in the next few weeks, we are hoping to be able to start our final sort of quality assurance test cycle and then release early in the new year. So some very basic things here, but this is in terms of new styling and design language. We've freshened up the login page. It's still a standard login page, of course, but other nice little things is just making it really easy to customize it by adding some nice images in the background, making it a nice sort of friendly feel when you first look at the platform. When you enter into a Moodle course, we've really tried to focus on making it easier for those new users to understand what the platform is about, how can they navigate around. So very much working on that onboarding experience and showing nice little cards that highlight important things in the Moodle site. For example, here, there's a little tab there that when you click that, it slides out a drawer, and you can put additional information in that drawer area, so people know where to find that. We're also seeing some other things here. For example, a nice little welcome message. So this is all just around giving a nice, friendly, welcoming experience for the end user. And we're looking at the dashboard page here. So this is one of the main pages that people will land on when they log into the system. And one of the other key things that we worked on for that dashboard page was in terms of making it easier for students to understand what they need to do next. So what we look at here is what we call the timeline block. And then for different courses that the student is enrolled in, we've got a course here, celebrating cultures. There's an activity, languages of love, that is due. It's an assignment, and it's actually overdue. So wow, they're late, and they know that, and they have to sort of add a submission in there. So there's a nice clear call to action there for them to know exactly what they need to do, and so on for different types of activities and different types of courses. Always making clear which course it's from, what is the activity itself, what do I need to do. So making it really easy for people to know what they need to do next, and making it easier for them to plan their work. We're also introducing a new page called the My Courses page, which is really a page purely dedicated to the courses that you're enrolled in. So again, this is all around making it really easy to navigate around. If you want to find your courses, there's a single destination to go to. There's all sorts of filters that you can use in case you're enrolled in many courses. But we've got a nice course card with some clear information on what the course is. Then when you actually go in the course is where most of the user experience changes have come from at a course level. So we're seeing this navigation here at the top now. For those of you who are familiar with Moodle, previously that navigation lived elsewhere. It was actually on the side here, and it would change depending on the context where you are. So that sometimes was a little bit confusing. So it's all at the top here, and it's always consistently there. And you can always find your primary navigation items there. Then when you're inside a course, where you're inside the course class and conflict and world cinema, there's what we call the secondary level navigation, or the course navigation. So in here you find all the things that are relevant for that particular course and navigating around. So we're logged in here as a teacher with admin rights, because we can see the site administration there, but you can see this teacher has obviously the capabilities to adjust settings on the course, enroll students into the course, and do grading, etc., etc. But the entire look and feel and styling and structure of this page has been updated. So everything that you see here is new. We've got some nice clear section headings. You can expand and collapse them all across the entire course. We've got the standard activities, but they have now got a new look and feel. They're in a card component with a nice new icon, making it feel really friendly. Some very clear information around, well, I'm actually done here. I don't need to do anything in this course. Other examples where, of course, if you're not done yet, it will tell you what are the steps that you still need to do. So for example, here it would have said to do, make a submission. We're presenting some really clear information around when does the submission open, Friday the 1st of April. When is the deadline? It's Wednesday the 14th of April. So right there on that course page, students can see what they need to do for that particular activity. And then what we see on the left here is the course index. So this really is the structure of the course at a higher level. So we see different sections here. So we see general here, which is this section with different types of activities in there, the film and education study guide, which we see here, La Mise en Scène, which we see here. And so this is a way to very quickly be able to navigate around the course. And some courses can get really long, meaning that you have to scroll all the way down to the bottom, but with the course index, you can navigate there straight away. Other things that we've built in here is making it easy for students to see what they still need to do. You can see these little indicators here. We've got a green dot, which means that we've already completed those activities. So that matches up with what you see here. This is already done, it's completed. But here are some other activities that have not yet been completed. So they know that's an area where they need to go. And there's different capabilities for the teacher to highlight. This is this week's section that we're looking at. There's options to restrict access to particular activities, because maybe you shouldn't have access until an activity until you've done something else. And that information is sort of displayed here in the course index as well. Then I sort of mentioned the block drawer. So there's the little tab there that we mentioned before. If you click on that, you can open this little drawer and you can place in additional blocks there with new information. So for example, here we've placed a calendar block if you want to have access to your calendar quite easily. or upcoming events. Moodle comes with all sorts of different blocks with different types of information that you can put in the block drawer here, and then have access to that when you need it. But when you're actually working on the course, you might not want to be distracted. You've got that option to close it, so it doesn't distract you. I spoke a little bit about making things consistent with the mobile design. So of course we have a Moodle app, which is a dedicated mobile app. You go to the App Store to download it, but you can also access Moodle just through the web browser on your mobile phone. And you see some screenshots of that here. So we again, you know, for example, on the left here, see that My Courses page that we were on before, and it pretty much looks exactly the same. You've got the same types of filters there. You still see the same types of course cards. Of course, it's a narrow view, so they're all stacked on top of each other, but in essence, it's the same experience. And similar when you're inside a course, really trying to make it consistent in terms of that experience. So we see that secondary level navigation there. Again, we've got less space, so things are condensed a little bit more, and whatever doesn't fit on the screen goes into this little overflow menu. And down the bottom, we were able to access that course index. So if we click on this little tab, this thing will slide open and you can navigate around your course. And if you were to click on that other tab, you see the box area popping out. So it's really around providing that consistency in the experience, that there's really no difference from accessing Moodle on the web through your laptop or a big screen versus on your mobile phone. It's a summary of some of the user experience changes that we're building into Moodle, but a number of other features are coming as well as part of the Moodle 4 platform. Big Blue Button, so we're experiencing it all here, has been a long-term partner of Moodle, and for many years it's been a Big Blue Button plugin that you could download from the plugin database. But we've now actually integrated that plugin into the core platform. So with every download of Moodle Lms from Moodle 4 onwards, you get the plugin shipped out of the box, and you get to use Big Blue Button, which is fantastic. And we're all using it here, so I don't have to explain what that is all about. I mentioned also that we've got our Moodle Workplace product, which is more targeted towards corporate learning, and it's a product that you can get through Moodle's premium partners. But over time, some of the features from that are actually coming back to the open source core platform and making that available for everybody. And this is quite exciting. There's been a lot of work that's been done in Moodle Workplace and being able to create reports more easily and more powerfully and more flexibly. And this function is now coming to Moodle Lms and Moodle 4. It's called the Report Builder. We're starting off firstly with some of the system reports, so more from a system admin level, but over time we will be migrating all of the different types of reports that exist in Moodle, all in different places, and they've all been added over time, so they all look and feel a little bit different, to all start using the Report Builder and have consistent reporting across Moodle. And this is certainly a feature that a lot of people have asked us for, so it's really exciting to be able to start delivering that now to the community. And then over time, yeah, you'll be able to create your own custom reports as well. There's user reports and course reports that you can already make in 4.0, but there'll be many more that are coming down the track. And this is an example of the user report that you can currently create. So it's really quite nice. You can select which columns you want to display, and they'll be added here at the screen. You can move columns back and forth. You can change names. You can use different types of aggregation or summations, and different types of filters that you can apply to manipulate the data and really zoom in on those, in this case, students or users that you want to look at. So it's really quite a nice, powerful and flexible reporting solution that we're building across Moodle. Other things that are coming in Moodle 4.0 is some improvements to the calendar. You already very quickly saw a little calendar block. We've just made sure that it works really nice and responsively overall in Moodle, and we've taken away some of the key pain points in terms of sometimes showing too much information, other times showing too little information, just making it easier to use. I don't know if people are aware of LTI. but it's learning tools interoperability. So this allows you to bring in content from another site or another platform right into your Moodle course. We've implemented LTI 1.3 Advantage from a provider perspective. So Moodle could already consume this content for that latest release, but now you can also host that content in your Moodle site, and other sites can access it from Moodle itself. Making some big changes to quiz and question bank. This is actually a project that's driven by the Moodle community. They've actually organized themselves and found different universities with different requirements and needs, and they're funding a project where they're together working on making some changes to our quiz and question bank functionality. So that's happening all in the background while we've been working on all of those UX improvements, and it's now going to land in Moodle 4.0. So it's really an example of the community getting together and supporting and improving the platform. We're working to include a tool that will allow you as a site administrator to more easily configure your Moodle site. And then also, once you've got that configuration, you can save it out, you can share it with different people. So some of the use cases we can see coming up through the community here is that, for example, schools might need a different type of Moodle configuration than higher education, and a corporate setting might again need a different type of configuration. So we're going to work with the community to establish these configurations and be able to share them with everybody, so that it's easier to tailor your Moodle site to what you need. Accessibility, very important. I mentioned it already, and we keep improving it. We actually did some work on the text editor embedded in Moodle for this release to improve the accessibility of that and making it easier to navigate by keyboards and the like. And yeah, there's many more things coming, but I can't talk about it all. And I think, yeah, that concludes my talk. So thank you very much all for listening. I kept an eye on the chat, but I didn't see any questions coming through. So maybe I'm let off easy, who knows. But feel free to ask any questions or turn on your webcam and yeah, ask me anything you